audio is working. Okay, test. Audio seems fine. Okay, let's have some background music. Good. Okay, so I've been playing around with a GLTF viewer for the next NFTs, and I've been thinking about transferring the Fraction multichain logo to a 3D object, so I can use it in the future for mints or whatever for NFTs. So I figured I'm gonna do one stream mainly focused about the Fraction multichain logo, and before I start transferring this animation here to Cinema4D and the 3D object, I figure it might be a good idea to explain how this here got built, because that's one of the questions I got a few times already. So I'm going to do as the first part of the video will be to explain how this animation works, because it's an SVG animation only. It's vector graphic. And then in the second part, I'm going to use that animation as the blueprint for the GLTF animation in Cinema4D. So to get a little bit more into that, we're going to open up exactly that file here. That's the symbol, and that's the multichain animated. So open it up here, and then let's make that a little bit bigger so everyone can read what's going on here. So I'm not gonna start right away how I got the exact fractions in here, because that happened in Cinema4D later on, and I vectorized them. But for now, let's just say I have the, there it is, Illustrator. So here's the in a static way, and I'm gonna disable the other stuff as well. So that's the vector graphic itself. That's the old standard token logo. And what you can see here in Illustrator is in the SVG file. I'm gonna scroll down here. That is to close this stuff here first. So there's the fraction logo main, and this group here contains exactly all these elements that you can see here. So there's the fractured main, and here we have the fractured parts in here. That's T5 would be, just give all them some different names, but the fraction part is always one of these smaller parts in here. And then there's the full main, and that's the other half. So that's basically, it's a simple SVG graphic. What I did on that part is basically just edited the classes in here, so each element has a specific class that I can then later get into. And the other parts that you can see in here, the Ethereum, Celo, BSC, and all the other stuff that you hear are exact clones of the fraction logo main, of the black one in here, just with one difference, that with two differences, and one of them is that each one of them gets transformed a little bit, and the translate in this case means that it has been moved. So that here has been moved 7.5 to the left and to the top, and that to the bottom and to the right, and so on and so on, so that they each fill up different portions. And the network color underlay just says that the underlay has just 25% opacity, and the ID, via the ID, I say that they have a different color. So as you can see, the network underlay, the opacity is 25%, and that the underlay is the GnosisChain element has the Gnosis colors, the Polygon, and these are the exact colors of that official network, except for GnosisChain, because GnosisChain in this case uses the old XDAI color, officials this from the stake token, and that's basically just for as an Easter egg for the legacy, because the project launched when the chain was still called XDAI chain. So that's a small hint in there. So so that's basically what these groups in here, as you can see, it's exactly the same elements in here, just shifted each one into a separate corner. I'm gonna show you this right here in the Illustrator file. So that's the Ethereum, it got moved down, then Celo moved to the right, to the left, then BSC to the top and to the right, Avalanche just to the top, Arbitrum to the right, Optimism to the bottom left, Polygon to the top left, and GnosisChain to the bottom right. So, and that fills up, and that would be the static part in here. So that's how the different multi-chain layers sort of stack up in here. And for the animation part, and I'm gonna go back here to the black part only. That's what's in here. So basically the fraction part, and that's defines each one of these here on the side. They have an SVG and CSS animation in there, and you can do that via the keyframes CSS. So basically, I just say if the animation goes on, then the element should scale. Also, it starts at 90%, then it scales at 20% of the timeline to 1. Then it retracts to 70% and then goes back to 90%. So it always 90%, 100%, 70%, 90%, and then it starts again because it basically ended there. So that's the fracture element in here. And then I say that loop should run infinite, and via the ease in out is that it basically just isn't a linear animation where the values go. So it starts a little bit slower, then it goes faster, and then it gets slower in there. That's coming in a little bit handy later on to get these different style in there, but I can elaborate on that. And then here's the transformation origin, and that's basically just the center of the animation space. As you can see, it's not exactly the same for the center and the top, and that's basically because all of them should center a little bit off to them, so that's why they're a little bit different pixel graphics here. So the whole stuff is like 265 by 265 pixels, let's say, or call it units. So if I transform it, then the exact center would be 228, but as I said, it should be a little bit off, so it's not centering about the actual center. And then I say that the animation should start basically right away by default, and that each part should transform to 90% also by default. That's basically because I do want to extend it a little bit out there, and it's easier if you start at 90%, so you can go to 100, so we don't move one of these too far out of the whole space that I defined before. And then let's ignore this part here for now. And then basically, so right now, if I mean, I can show it to you. I can show that to you. I'll just set that here to 0 for now, because in that case, the animation here would be wouldn't have any anymore. And if I would disable this here, okay, then let's give, I'll just change the color here to white so you can see more easily what's going on. So as you can see now, the animation doesn't run. That's weird. Why? Oh yeah. That because of the 7. So right now the animation wouldn't run because right now there's no duration, so the it doesn't know how long everything should go. So if I would say animation so if I would say the animation duration is 5 seconds, then all of them are retracting at the same time over and over again. So that doesn't look, but as you can see, it starts at 90%, then it goes to 1, then down to 60, and then back to 90%, to 70%. So 90%, 100, 70, and then back to 9. But there's no difference in there. And that's where these here come in. So as you might have remembered, here, each one of these fraction parts got a different separate class in here. So it's T5, T4, T3, 4. And I basically just choose different letters and then numbers to sort of group them together. I think the T ones are the biggest chunks in there, and the J ones or the F ones are the smallest ones. I think the F ones are the biggest ones, given the amount of different points, but it's just to group them. You could give them whichever name you want. And what I did then is give each one of these fraction elements a different duration of the animation, and since they loop, it doesn't matter because at the end it starts again, but each one of them goes through that circle of 90%, 20%, 70%, and what? Yeah, 90%, 100%, 70%, and then back to 90. That's what all they do. But if that's enabled, then it's going to take for the T5 element 12.3 seconds to go through that whole loop, and for the F3 it's just 5. So basically that one goes through whole contractions before that element goes through one contraction. So that here makes then this effect. So you get a little bit more chaos in there. And that's also where the ease in out comes in, because different durations make then we get also a little bit more dynamic in there, because it's slower at the start, then it gets faster, and then it gets getting slower again. So we also have that effect in there. And then if I put in here the underlays again, whoops, let's load that again and turn that black. Okay, so basically now let's disable that to explain what's going on here. Okay, so and now all of them would basically be stuck together. So this element also has the offsets, but they are all the same in there, and that's why each one of them adds some short delay. So the black one of the main logo starts right away because there's the animation delay is 0. But for the GnosisChain, okay, the GnosisChain also starts with 0. But actually, I think it would be nicer to change that. But yeah, that doesn't matter. No, I did it on purpose to suggest that the GnosisChain was the first layout, so that's always matched to the black one, so that because it's the home chain, so that's why it's on the same. It has 0 delay. There was a reason for that. But as we can see now, if I select this here, and then the background layer for GnosisChain starts right away, but the Polygon one has half a second offset. So the F1 starts half a second later, the F2 starts half a second later, and that gives some difference. And then the Optimism is also off, and the Arbitrum, and each one is off by half of a second. And that gives the whole thing another layer of where they run on different speeds. And since each element has a different duration, you get like this bigger sense of chaos in there. So if I reload that in here, then you can see actually that, for example, the let's choose the BSC because there's 2.5 seconds off, and that should be the one on the top. And let's see, yeah, it's in the top corner. So if you look closely, and if I reload everything, then you will see that the first thing that starts moving are the black parts, along with the mint ones for the GnosisChain, but the BSC one, they are standing still for 2.5 seconds and then they start moving. So if I load it, as you can see, they're still stuck. But since there's so much happening on anyways, nobody really knows the distance. And once everything starts, it's this infinite loop where nobody cares, so nobody gives a fuck. So, and the good part in there is everything is now running on an infinite loop. And since everything is on different scale, it would take like forever to get back to the starting pattern, and that gives it this uncontrollable look, this hypnotizing stuff. And since it only retracts on one side, you get this in there. Okay, so that's how the SVG animation works. And now let's go into the second part of the video. That took like 20 minutes. That's good. And now I'm going to try to transform that here into Cinema4D so it can do the same loop as a 3D object to then maybe later on do a rendering or export a DLTF file to mint an NFT with it or something else. So let's get started there. 2023. So the first thing I'm gonna need is getting the vectors into the Cinema4D, and I'm gonna use exactly this here. I'm just gonna delete the stuff, and there is a small trick that you can do. So if you save an Illustrator file as, and let's open up here as separate folder, oops, 2023. Fraction. GTF. Right there. And if you save the file as fraction token black only as an Illustrator 8 file, then you can import the vectors as splines in Cinema4D. So we select here Illustrator 8, go for OK, OK. Sorry for that. Okay, so we here, and we are going to keep those elements in here because we are going to need them later on. So I'm gonna add that stuff here. Whoops. Fraction GLTF, Illustrator. So we're not going to connect the splines, but we can them grouped in there. Then we're going to center that stuff, and let's make that a bit bigger so it's easier to work with. So basically now we have the splines in here, and there's a lot of paths in here, which is going to be tricky to figure out what's the next. I was hoping that they get the same classes, but yeah, whatever. So first thing is we're going to make sure that that stuff here is actually centered. So, and to do that even easier, we are going to add here a circle and make that a little bit smaller. Okay, so and since that one is definitely in the center, we can align the other one exactly based on that. Okay, that looks good. And yeah, because that half goes exactly to the half, which is here. Okay, and the others, they're out there. So then we take a new null object and say that's the fraction token logo, and we make sure that that's now in the center. And we can get rid of the circle. Then we're going to save that because we're working on Windows, and Windows likes to blue screen occasionally. So ready. Fraction token multichain. Okay, so basically same process like with the SVG file. First, I'm gonna build the black logo. Then I'm gonna animate the black one. Then I'm gonna add the colored one. Give the colored a different color and different offset to the specific corners, and then shift the animation a little bit, and that should basically be it. So first, as you can see, all of them are just called Pfad, which is the German word for path. So we now have to rename them, which is unfortunate that it didn't work that well so far, but yeah, one by one. So here we have, for example, this outline. So in this case, we are going to group them and come so it doesn't so that the holes in there aren't separate splines in there. So let's go there in that, for that, and that. And then we go for this, and here that. Okay. 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 Let's combine this one and let's combine this one here. So if we enable that again, then we should have all of them here again. And since I don't really remember which one I called like what, I'm gonna make a small trick in here. So I'll just disable this one here again, and I'm gonna make that one here white again. And we're gonna start. So basically the animation here is, that's white again, and I'm gonna say, okay, which one is the F1? So I'm gonna call that fill red, reload that, and that should mark this one here. So I know the F1 is now this one here. And I'm doing that so that I know exactly how long each animation should then later go on. I could call them whatever I want to again, but that's like so much easier to then get the reference at a later point. So we're going to do that for these 25 elements that we have in here. So this one here is the F2. Okay. Okay, you can see it's, is it this one? Yeah, that's the one. I could also basically just cut this here, so it doesn't. That yeah, but then I don't get any colors in. Okay. 3. Okay, then we say 4. This one J4. I know that's a little bit of a boring task, but it's okay. Five. Okay. This one is F6. Then okay. It's this one here. 7, 8. Okay. This one here, 10, and then that on top here is probably F11. Yep. F11, so that is probably F12, but just to be sure. Yep. Okay. So now we have the F1s through. We can do the J1s. So we start with J1. That's this small part here. It's J1. J2. I mean, there's a high chance that the order is exactly the same, so that should be J2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. But since that's like 2 years ago where I built everything, I'm not so sure if I really took that order. So J2 is this one here. Yeah, J2. We can speed that a little bit up by doing 3, 4, 5. Let's see. Green, blue, orange. Then all that. So J2 is the red one. We already have that one in here. Then green is the next one down there below. That's 3, 3. Then blue is this one here, J4, and the orange one is this one here down. See, we have an outlier here. Oh, but it's the same order. So J5, then 6, 7. Then J1, J2. Okay, so the red one is this one, right? Yep. So this is J6, and that is probably J7, but yeah. Okay. And the T1 is the blue one. Oh, that's a tiny one. one T1, and the orange one is that this one? Yeah, it's T2. As you can see, not all of them are closed, so if we close them, then we get the full spline in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we have the T1, the T2, and T3, T4, T5, T6. There's no T6 in there, so we only have this one in here. And let's take a look. So the red one is this small here. Yeah, that's T3, and T4 is that one down here. Could be this one here. Yep. So that's T4, and the T5 is blue one. Oh, that's here. It's a very, very tiny one. So yeah, that's T5. Okay. And now you might be wondering what are the other ones, and they are I think they're static ones. They don't move at all. Let's make sure about that. For sure. So if that moves, then yeah, as you can see, this one here is static. This one here is static. There are a few, just a few are in there that are static, which shouldn't be a problem. Just and we make sure that all of them are closed. And we just call them S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S7, S8 for the static ones. Okay, and now if we enable that everything, we still have here just the splines, which if I would render that, you wouldn't see anything, because that's just a path. And what we're doing now is we're using the extrude element here. And now the tricky part comes in, because that one in here, as you can remember, it's a little bit off. This one in here. So if I would set that to 15 instead of 115, then you would see that they would actually resemble around a point here somewhere. So just to be sure, we are going to move that a little bit in here. Like 10% or so. Just so that they are not exactly in the center. Okay. Or let's see what would happen if we would have that to 2028 and 2028. Then we can have the reference. So basically the reason for that is, as you can see, this here would then be just moving up and down and up and down, and by moving it a little bit in there, you can see that it's then get obfuscated by the first one, and that gives a little bit more dynamic to this one and this one in here. See? Because it moves closer in there. And we're going to do basically the same, but just also moving this here a tiny little bit inside. Okay, so, and if I drag this one in here, then you can see we now have a 3D object in there. And we are going to reduce that a little bit because we just want that to be let's do 4 now. Actually, since I want to overlap the others, a little bit, we are going to use here 5, but we can change that later on as well. So, and let's move it a little bit because we're going to need quite a lot of these. So I'm gonna, and that's the F1, that's the F2, and that's super inefficient to do it that way. F3, 4, 5, F6, F12, then we have here the J1, G2, but what we are going to do, we are going to make here also one that's called how did we group them in here? We're just going to use exactly the same stuff in here. We are calling that fractional logo main, and that is the fractured main, and that's the full main. Bam. We can drag that in here, put that here on top, and that's the fractured main, and this one in here now we are going to put back to 0 right in the center, because if we want to move it off, then we just move the fractured main and that will do the job for all of them. So 10, and then we have here J1, J2, oops, 1, J1, J2, and we can also actually here the F group, and just place all the F's in there, and then another one, and that's the out there. So the F, that's the J, that's the T, and it's the S. Although I'm not so sure if I shouldn't. I mean, if I would make it really exactly, I mean, I could group them together because they don't move anyways, but for the sake of accuracy, I'm gonna keep them as well. So J3, J4, J6, J7. Get that in here and move that in here. Then we have here the T1 and the T2. Also T3, T4, and 5. So also those in here, and then we have 8s. That's S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S7, and of course I missed one. S8. Okay, now we move them in here, and now we can put these splines in here, and one by one they all now are becoming real 3D objects. This, like this, like this. So basically, if it would have been static, you would just merge them all together into one spline, put it into an extrude element, and that would do the job. But since we want to animate each one of them specifically, it's good that they are all separate elements. And the naming scheme is so that later on in the when we're animating the keyframes, that it's easier to spot in there. Also, you should always name your stuff correctly. Did I put in the S? Really? Yes. Okay. So then we have here T3, T4, and T5. Bum, 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 bum. Let's close that. So that's the J1. We start with J7, J6, J5, J4, 3, J3, J2, and J1. Okay. And then here the big chunks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oops. 9. Okay. 2 in there. Okay, but I didn't have 11. Okay. So now we also have this one is in here. Okay, and we have the logo in this 3D space. So, and I could basically just always make that one bigger and longer, but we just want to have that one in here. So, but for some reason, the main one looks in the other direction. I'm not so sure why that exactly is the case, but we can just fix that by setting in here, because that one doesn't get animated anyways, so who cares? Okay, now that stuff is in here, and then we're going to save that just for now. And the next thing is we are going to get to the animation part, and we are selecting all of them in here. So, and we say add 0, that's 0.9, and that is 0.9, and since the width should always be the same, so we let that at 1. Okay, so we have this here at number 1, and then we say at, let's go with exactly the percent. Let's do it for the start at 20%. We go down, we go up to 1. Okay, and at 60 we go down to 7. Okay. And at 100%, at 100 from 100, we are back to 0.9. Okay. So we now have the full 100 frames in here. So if it basically does exactly the same like in here, but we are going to open up here the dope sheet, and that opens up the keyframes in here. And in that case, we are going to set that also to ease, all of them, and that gives all of them a little bit more of that animation part, but it just retracts. Oh, I think the S ones, they shouldn't have any animation. Oops, sorry. Let's get rid of them. Okay, so they should stay. But why? That is interesting. Good. So and now we have to figure out how to replicate exactly these ones. So we can remove this one here, that again, and the F1 should be in total 6. So, but actually 1 second would be for this 25 frames. Maybe it's easier to see. So that's 6.1 seconds. Okay. And then let's see a little bit up. And the F2 should be 7.1. Okay, so we can see here the exact or here, but it's contrast is a little bit bad. Then F3 is 5.1. Yep. Then F4 is 9.4. F5 is 6.3. Oops, want to 3. So by selecting here, it selects all of them. And if I drag it from here, it basically, as you can see, it just stretches everything. And that's basically also what this here does. The animation duration stretches this percentage as well. That's why I gave all of them the 100% in the same stuff in the beginning. So, but now we have here F6 is 8.8 seconds. And basically, actually these values I put in there, they're just random stuff. I just picked them out of without any purpose, just that they a little bit offset and not in a normal pattern. There's no logic behind that. So F7 is 7.7. Okay, 7.7 seconds. Then F8 is 9.2. F9 is 6.9. That's probably a little bit fast. 6.9. Okay. Then F10 is 8.9. Then F11 is 9.9. And F12 is 12.9. That's gonna stretch it a little bit. 12.9. Bam. Okay, then J is 10.1 here, and we're gonna switch to 10.1. J2 is 9.1 here. Then J3 is 18.1. Sheesh. G4 is 17.4. Here it is. A bit bigger. That's J4, right? 17.4. J4 17.4. There we go. J5 is 14.3. So in case anyone was wondering, what's the main thing when doing animation stuff? It's preparation and dragging keyframes. That's like, that's something you do a lot. Although you could program some stuff in Cinema4D that's called Espresso. You can do pretty nice stuff in here, and that saves you a lot of work in the long run, but we're not going to get into that today. J7 is 10.7. Let's do a bit more straightforward stuff here. Okay, then we have the T, which are just 5 left. So the first one is 11.11, 11.1, sorry. So 11.1, let's back that out here. Then T2 is 15.1. Okay. T3 is 14.1. Okay. 13.4. Okay. and the T5 is 12.3. It should be here. Yeah. So, but as you can see right now, if I'm gonna play that, each one will just start playing and then stop. So, and we are going to maximum, in this case, 18 or something. So we're just going to reduce that to 20 seconds just for the sake of the preview. So it retracts, goes back, and then they stop. And so what we have to do now is, whoops, that's because of my second monitor. We are going to stop this here and then select them again. Select all of them here and this one here, this one here. So yeah, we can delete that stuff here. And we could, I'm gonna select this stuff here because then we have here the I don't want to drag it on the second screen. Okay. Because now we can set here that it should run as a loop. And then since we selected these one here, all of them, it should apply to all of them. So okay, but no, I think I need to let's make sure, because this one here, and if I set that to loop, why does it? Oh yeah, because loop would set an end frame at the end of the animation, and then it so that all of them loop at the same time. So we're going to reselect all of them, do here the same. Here, and then we say all, and that should actually loop that, as long as the animation basically goes in there, but it's exactly the same. So we are going to save that again, and now we're going to get the materials. I'm not getting into Redshift and others, so we're just doing our physical renderings. It's just a plain basic material right now because it doesn't really matter. We want to flag that, and that's the black one. So black. Then we drag that onto the full main. Both of them. And I think if I make a clone of that, then it doesn't shift the animation part. So I have to, oh yeah, let's create the material first. So that's black one. Then we go for the Gnosis. And we say that one here, and we're just gonna put in here the hash, the hex, code. Bam. Okay. Okay. Polygon. Optimism. Arbitrum. Although Arbitrum also has a different color in the meantime, as well as Celo, so still some legacy stuff in here going on. Arbitrum, Avalanche. Okay. BNB. There. Celo and Ethereum. Okay. We copy Ethereum. Paste that one in here. We can also just paste it here. Optimism. Okay. Polygon. So we have the numbers, and now we are going to clone that. That's the that's okay. Just call it. Okay. Let's GnosisChain. Polygon. Arbitrum. Avalanche. BNB. Celo and okay, then let's sort that. Optimism, Avalanche, BNB, Ethereum. Then we apply the materials. BNB. Okay, of course I forgot something, and I forgot to change the width first, but just look here for that's why I called that EN, so it's easier later on to make that smaller by just searching for that. And let's give that one. Okay. And for some reason these still need to get the -1. Close that one here. So Ethereum. -1. Okay. Polygon already has the -1. Okay, so we have that. So and now they are all in the back a little bit. So we're just going to move this one here. That has a width of 5, so we're going to move that to 2.5. So it's right in the center in here. That's usually. Hey, Adi. Good morning. Are you already on the way? And this is these other ones, we just give them 0.5. Oops. To left, and then that's in the center in here. And we are going to group all of that in the fraction logo itself. So basically now we replicated the whole stuff here and replicated all of these elements all in Cinema4D so that they are in there. And since the black one has more width than all the others, it will always obfuscate them. So basically exactly like we have here. Oops, I probably should return here to 3.5, 6, okay, 7, 5, okay. All right, so these will always obfuscate them. So, but as you can see now, there are two things missing, and one is that they all run at the same speed, so they are all staying the same, and they don't have any transparency. And we're going to start first with the different with the offset. And here now it's hard to spot which one is which, so we're going to go here and say show, what's it called? Usually spot it right away. Oh, is it? No. There we go. Oh, what the? What, am I stupid? It's interesting because usually I'm very sure that there it is. There's none. So now I'm gonna just close this here, and now see all the elements. And as we remember, the Gnosis part starts exactly at the same time as the black one, so we can leave fraction logo main and GnosisChain at the same, but Polygon we are going to move half a second. And that would be at so I guess now it would be better if we set here the frame rate to 30, or just set it to 50. Then we still have our nice stuff in here, but we can set this here to 25 and move, oops, not the last one, we just need these networks here. Oh, there's something else we first need to do. There are three things missing. First thing is the offset. That's what happened with, that's what we have in here now. So just so we jump back in here because we already forgot all the stuff. And we say, okay, GnosisChain is to the right and to the bottom. So we are going to move GnosisChain to the right. And let's see what it's probably like. Yeah, okay, we can go with the 7.5. That's nice. 7.5 and minus 7.5. Now that's down there. And then the next one is Polygon, which is exactly the opposite. So minus 7.5 and 7.5. So that's in the top corner now. Then we take the next one, that would be Optimism, which is down here and here, so minus 7.5, oops, minus 7.5, minus 7.5. Then Arbitrum is very much likely in the, oh, okay, it's just to the right, so that stays at 0 and is 7.5 to the side. Then Avalanche is to the top, so just this here says that's 7.5 up to the top, and then BSC is in the corner. And 7.5. Then Celo is just to the right. Oops. Minus 7.5. And then we have Ethereum, and that's just to the bottom. Oops, wrong. So just to the bottom. Now, as you can see, since all of them are in the same space, we have this glitchy stuff in here because it doesn't really know which one should be in the front or in the back. And to get rid of that, we are moving them just a little bit, a tiny little bit off. You can see that better in here. So this one here gets let's disable all of them, and let's get the GnosisChain in here, and that one is there's still some stuff sticking out here. Then let's keep that for now. Because that's really interesting. Okay. So, but basically what would probably been even the better idea is to not use here also the full main, but to take this one here and replace that with an instance. So if we need to fix something at some point later on, we would still have that. But yeah, I can do that at some other point. So let's take real quick, but as you can see, it does work like that. And now we give the animation some offset. So Gnosis starts the same. Polygon goes to 25. Optimism to 1. that's exactly what we have here. Bye audio, have fun. Okay, that's here. Optimism is 1 second of Arbitrum 1.5 seconds. So we just go here. What? 1.25, 1.25. Avalanche. That's not one. Then of BNB. Here. Okay. Then we have Celo. Goes to 3 seconds, and then Ethereum to 3.5 seconds. Okay. So shift that off. So now we have this animation delay in there. And that looks kind of weird in here right now, but if we render it, it's still, I think it uses that order on top. So, but it wouldn't matter anyways, because now we are going to add here some transparency, and we are going to take that to 25% left. So if I would go that here to 100, it wouldn't be visible at all. But 75, we still leave the 25% left in there, and that looks in here. But as you can see, now we have this overlapping glitchy stuff here. And that's why we're going to close this chain to 0.4, 3, 2, 1. Well, let's say 4, 2. I guess if we go in both ways, then I think that would be 2. That would be 4. That would be 6. Oops. 6. That would be 8. And then that 0.2. 4, 0.6, and 0.8. Okay. Better? It is. Okay. Okay, and now let's see how it looks if we render it. That's for some reason still super duper bright. Not too sure why. Let's see if it works better with the alpha. Guess, oh, that could be the reason, because here everything is flat, so 25% is just 25%, but for the 3D object we have the plate in the front and in the back, since it's a three-dimensional object. So if I place 25% transparency here and on the back, it makes 50% transparency. Let's see first what the alpha does, and if alpha works better than transparency, we go with that. Otherwise, we're going to reduce everything to 12.5%, and then let's see. Okay, still super 12.5. Look, although I'm not so sure if alpha really would work with the GLTF export then later on, so we have to try that. Come on. Nope. Alpha looks shit. Let's get rid of the alpha. Let's take the transparency again. Bam. Oh. We don't need any. Five, and I don't think we really need to bend anything. Also no reflection, I think. But for now, let's see if that works better. I guess it should also render faster. See. Come on. Okay, I don't really get why that transparency isn't working. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. technically it should be that. If we combine it. Maybe it's because of the glowing, because I use I let it glow and not the normal color. That's we can try that later on. Quick try. In the meantime, we can, for reference, this here, circle through a little bit. Well, that doesn't look too bad, doesn't it? Not, I mean, it's let's see what happens if we combine everything. Sorry for the same numbers, but I just loaded in some songs from Artlist so that I don't get any problems with streaming them. So I have the music on stream and it's basically the same 10 tracks running in a loop. Okay, so it is that. But let's try one more thing. Let's give the alpha away and also the glowing stuff, and we say that's the color. Okay. Polygon. Let's see what happens if it doesn't glow at all. Or the bright glowing is basically something different. I'm not so sure what how it's called. But basically, you can then use it as something that it's a light source. That's basically the same. That's the correct thing. Okay. Probably should activate that as well. Activate and activate. Okay. Then BNB. Take the hex. Apply it to the color channel for Celo. Go here, add the color. And Ethereum. Take the color. Put it in. Okay, and we still have here transparency 12.5, and let's see what happens now. So basically there's now no lighting at all, no light emitting stuff going on, or is it? Don't think so. try. But basically this here, oh, maybe I should remove that light source here as well, and also maybe save at some point. But it's not really about that light source anyways, or about the actual rendering in here, the physical. It's anyways later on for the GLTF stuff, since we can also view. And that by Don McCurdy. Use them later on. Okay. Come on. It's black. Well, that's great. So if we have a light source here, let's give that a try. What happens then? And we're back to the shitty colors. Okay. Anyways, let's give a try and export it as a GLTF. Saving that. Okay, and let's check out what the GLTF viewer does with it. And there we have it. We now have, feels like the textures really do need some adaptation, and it doesn't loop. Oh, it does, but only once. Interesting. Here it loses the, oh, it has some, oh, that's interesting. Okay. Let's give that another try. Let's see what we can do here. We have the, oh, both sides. Okay. And then let's bake it as well. Oh, wait. Quite a few stuff from the GLTF is simply learning by doing, so let's see. But baking will certainly make it much bigger. Yeah, expected that. So, but the animation itself continues. But I'm not so sure if it's just 20 seconds and then it flips back to normal. And yeah, but that one here is actually quite smooth. Yeah, it's so mad because the background of that scenery is gray and not black. That's fun. Okay, and that's it. But in comparison to the file size, the the SVG is 280 kilobytes and the GLTF is 7 megabytes. Quite a little bit. Yeah, but I achieved what I wanted to do in here. I'm also going to rebuild the animation in After Effects at a later point, since that will make actually quite more sense to use for the animation parts in the future. But I figured, since I was already playing with GLTFs in the background, and I mean, now I do have the models and I can work with them, I really should change the full main later on to and all the elements with instances. So if I want to adjust some small part, that it automatically translates to all the others. But yeah, so that's, I think, fairly good so far. Let's run this side by side. Okay. I mean, of course, we could make all that stuff now like way larger to give them like this real three-dimensional stuff, but and also fix the different alignments for the, so that they don't work in two directions. That should be for the main fairly easily. For the others, I would have to really select the one that I merged before into one, and then redirect the vertices, I think is the English word, but not 100% sure. Okay, save that, and all right, that's it. For if you have any questions about the project or so, I'm gonna drop in the link, the link 3 of the fraction token in there. So until the website is online, here you can find all the official links and latest snapshot proposals and stuff like that. I'm gonna drop this in here as well. But hopefully in the future it would be sufficient that people check out the website, and there you can also find all the links and all the stuff that we might need. Okay, that's it. See you soon.